one more right there. Okay. Both of them or just one of them?
Hi, Joe. Happy birthday.
Daughter's birthday.
Very honest, though, it is kind of yours. I mean, it is,
It's really your day to celebrate.
right? Celebrate you survived the other day.
Celebrate that you survived another birthday.
Whose birthday?
All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, shift that.
Yeah.
Welcome, Joe.
I'd like to call this July 27th, 2023 special meeting to order. Madam Treasurer, may we have a roll call?
President Goodwin,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
I believe he will be arriving late.
Mr. Sampson,
Present.
Ms. Wiegany,
Present.
Dr. Pickett,
Present.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Present.
Mr. Lacy.
Here.
6 present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pursuant to Section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. This meeting is being held to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal of a public employee, to consider and to confer with an attorney involving pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith is not here. Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Hello, I'm Chase Wells, a scholar, leader, and now a graduate of Dayton Public Schools. I want to say thank you to Dayton Public Schools. You mean so much to me because of everything I was able to accomplish in these past 4 years of high school. In doing that, you guys created a foundation for me to rely on for my future endeavors. In these past 4 years, I have learned that having a plan is key to your success. Without a plan, you're blindly headed into life, making it hard to push yourself to that next step. DPS provides a great opportunities for students to find their plan and get them past high school as they did for me. DPS has made me a better person by introducing me to the Males of Color program back when I was a sophomore. The Males of Color program provide lots of help, fun activities, but most of all, a family. With that, I became more confident in myself and more determined to do good in my community, and that has made me into the striving young man I am today. For my future graduates, stay focused, know your plan, and be the best that you can be. You are your greatest enemy. Only you can stop you from being great. The sky is the limit. And now, this is the last episode in case you missed it for the school year. DPS High Schools held college and career signing days for seniors. These annual events allow students to declare their post-graduation plans, whether it be college, a career, entering the military, or another path. Students then sign a banner that will hang in the school next year as a reminder to other students to prioritize academics and attendance to reach their goals. Congrats to the class of 2023. The Columbus Crew mascot surprised Belhaven students for winning the March Mania attendance competition. Students were called up to high-five the mascot, receive a certificate, and get their photo taken. Keep up the great attendance next year, Bobcats. The annual All-City Arts Festival was held earlier this month. Approximately 450 students from all grade levels performed songs, played musical instruments, and showcased their artistic talents. Thank you to all who helped make the day a success. The annual employee retirement celebration was held at the Dayton Art Institute. This year, 52 retirees were recognized. The retirees enjoyed dinner, music, and then a recognition program to celebrate their years of service to the district. Collectively, these employees devoted more than 1,284 years to DPS. Thank you for your service. We wish you the best in retirement. After a long year, that's it for this episode in case you missed it. Catch us back in August for more district highlights and follow us on social media to get the most up-to-date news 24/7. I'm Chase Wells, and remember, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Class of 2023, we out.
College career and military signing day is extremely important because students are making a commitment to themselves and their future. And what we try to do is encourage them to choose something that they're going to do that they'll move on to after graduation. And it's really an important commitment that they're making to themselves. So we want to make sure that they understand that they have a support system in the Dayton Public Schools and in the community in case they need resources and in case they need help. We're here to support them because they are always part of DPS. Our high schools are very, very comprehensive. Any student that goes through any one of the Dayton Public School high schools has that opportunity to make those choices and to be educated and prepared for any career path that they make.
Hello, my name is Kamaya Hilton Thomas, and I am a senior at Stiver School for the Arts. I started taking College Credit Plus classes in the 8th grade up until this year, where I recently got my associate's degree before my high school diploma. I started with very few classes, and then I just kept growing and growing. Many people recommended I keep a small course load, but I kept leveling up and taking as many as I could. So I kept maxing those hours out, and over the summer I took 16 or 15 credit hours so I can just be one step closer to getting my degree. Not many people have an associate's degree. Straight out of high school, some people, go start working without a degree, or maybe they even take a gap year or go to school. So to have that one thing done and accomplished is great. It's gonna save me a tremendous amount of money. Even though I have gotten a scholarship, it also helps though, because it's that scholarship is only 4 years. So if I go over that time, or I need to help and take other courses, I have that done. And that actually has helped me because that's basically a free degree that I can lean back on.
Welcome Stadium, this is a great place to host special events, and especially when it's an event for Edwin C. Moses Relays. We had a good mix of teams from all over the place. We actually had a team from West Virginia, some Cleveland schools, some Cincinnati schools, so it's always good to have different competition and to be able to share our home with a variety of people.
Well, it was amazing because this is their first time being able to compete on the facilities track, and they found out it's a lot different than before. It's a lot faster than before, and not only that, but to experience having a gentleman who never lost a race in 10 years here to watch them and to provide them with medals. It was an amazing experience.
The Dayton Relays, as it was called, we should really work to build that up because it was one of the top track meets in the state of Ohio. People from all around the state would come, all the best schools, all the best relays. You know, this is a prime facility, and we need to get kids more involved in sports on a competitive level as well as sports on the academic level.
The Dayton Public School District is a thriving school system serving students from preschool through high school. With more than 12,000 students across 27 schools, parents can feel confident that their students will receive a high-quality education and graduate prepared for lifelong success. Here are 11 reasons you will love Dayton Public Schools. All DPS preschools are 5-star rated by the Ohio Department of Education and are free for students. All 1st through 3rd grade classrooms implement the district's successful double teaching model to increase academic achievement and close gaps. All 4th through 6th grade classrooms provide high-dosage tutoring for students, which reduces class size and provides students with more individualized instruction. Students of all ages have career exploration opportunities to help them learn about different career paths and develop an understanding of what is required to make their dreams a reality. DPS has one-to-one technology, which means all students have access to a Chromebook. DPS is home to one of the world's 41 Challenger Learning Centers, where students get hands-on experience with science, math, engineering, design, and learn about space travel and exploration. The district offers music and art opportunities at all grade levels. Middle and high school students can even take part in an all-city band to perform with students from across the district. Middle school students can participate in Project Lead the Way classes to explore STEM concepts and learn valuable life skills. These courses are designed to teach students to be problem solvers, critical thinkers, and team players. The district cares about both students and their families. Family resource coordinators are in many schools to help connect families to any resources they may need. And student resiliency coordinators and student behavior therapists are available to any student who may need counseling or support. The district offers 2 career technology centers to prepare students for college and careers. At Ponance CTC and Nettledale CTC, students can choose from dozens of pathways and begin working toward industry credentials in their chosen field. All high school students can participate in College Credit Plus courses, which allows them to earn college credits for free during high school. These credits transfer to public colleges and universities after graduation. Students can even earn an associate degree while in high school. Learn more and enroll today at DaytonPublic.com.
Hi, I'm Haley Chavez, a media arts student attending Ponance CTC, and I'm here at Edison to interview our Student of the Month, Kennedy Thomas.
Kennedy is a leader at Edison. She always strives for excellence in her academic work, has great attendance, and follows the school's 3 B's of being respectful, responsible, and safe. She was a member of the school's Math Olympics team. She's president of the student council, and her science fair project placed in the school's event. Kennedy is dependable, trustworthy, and is an excellent example for other students.
Tell us your name, your school, and your grade.
My name's Kennedy. I go to Edison Elementary, and I'm in 6th grade.
What are your responsibilities in student council?
As student council, my responsibility is to mostly give my opinions on things before we send it out to the school, like Spirit Week, which is this week. I had to give my opinion on most of the options for what we could do. And when we plan things like our spring dances and stuff like that, we have to make sure that we show what's best interest for the students before we post it out and make people know that what's coming.
So can you tell us a little bit about your time here and some of the teachers that have impacted you the most while you've been going here?
My time here has been amazing. I came here first when I was in 3rd grade, and I'm now in 6th grade. At first it was a little rocky because it was when the pandemic had first hit when I first got here. So I didn't really get to meet the students before we had to leave and come back. But when we came back, it was different. I met new people. I made amazing friends while I was here before I have to leave. And one of my favorite memories and my favorite teachers are probably my 5th grade teacher, Jennifer Kane. She helped me out a lot last year. I was struggling a lot last year with most of my subjects, and she was just helping me in ways I don't think any other teacher has helped me, which was really amazing because some teachers can't do that. And another one of my favorite teachers probably has to be my 4th grade teacher, Miss Carrington. She was always helpful, and whenever I needed something from her, she would always help me with it, whether it was at school or at home or whatever it was. She would always help me, and she was one of my biggest supporters. Even now that I'm in the 6th grade, she still helps and supports me in different ways.
What are you most looking forward to next year?
Next year, I'm looking forward to going to my new school, Stivers, and doing a lot of theater plays and trying to keep up my act from this year and just moving it to Stivers.
What is something you're looking forward to this summer?
This summer, I'm looking forward to going on vacations with my family. Me and my family mostly spend our summertime going to water parks and amusement parks. And I can't wait to go swimming, and we're going to Canada after we get out of school. So this summer is going to be something I look forward to, vacation, family time, stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Brett Collins in the Media Arts program at Ponus CTC. Today, I am here at Ponus interviewing Art Student of the Month, Javon Christian. Javon is a student in the Graphic Art and Design pathway at Ponus Career Technology Center. He is an outstanding student with excellent attendance. He prioritizes his grades and has maintained all A's and B's since starting at Ponus. Javon is involved in the community and even volunteered as a poll worker for the last election. He also volunteered to distribute Thanksgiving dinners throughout the community during his Thanksgiving break. Javon demonstrates the Ponus 5 P's of being punctual, prepared, polite, presentable, and productive every day. How does it feel to be Student of the Month, and then what did your family say about the accomplishment?
It feels great to be Student of the Month. I was kind of shocked to find out that I actually won it, but in my family, they was really happy for me. A lot of support came my way.
What was it like for you going through from freshman year all the way to now and picking your pathway, and what forced you into getting into graphic arts?
Well, what really made my decision into going into this pathway was like my love for art. I really like art and drawing and stuff. It was like kind of my passion. And like from freshman year to now, I was kind of nervous, first time in high school. So I was really mainly focused on my work, but hey, I wasn't trying to fall behind.
Going forward, what are your long-term goals in life past high school?
I really haven't decided yet, but like seeing the different jobs and stuff that's aligned with this pathway, I would be interested in doing stuff like that.
What type of jobs?
Designing logos for different businesses, making my own brand of t-shirts and clothing.
What made you come to Ponus, and when you got here, was it what you expected? And how has your experience been so far?
What made me come to Ponus was like the different pathways they got here, and like the different opportunities I would be able to have coming out of high school.
So since you've been in this pathway, since this is your first year, what's a highlight moment for you in this pathway? What has a teacher said to you? What stood out?
So a highlight moment would be like, we had this thing called Business BPA, or Business Professionals of America. Had like a big field trip, went to that, and for like a competition and designing stuff against other schools around the city and the country. Our pathway, we did good. We went to state.
So you like competing with other people and showing them that you're the best? Okay. The last question I want to ask you, what advice would you give to somebody coming into this pathway?
I would say have an open mind about coming into it. Don't think that it is boring. Focus on your work, but also try to like have fun.
It's just an opportunity for the entire community to benefit from a very, very nicely renovated stadium. today they're putting up a beam at the top of the press box as a kind of a symbolic, we're almost there. Shook invited everyone out for lunch and then also to sign the beam, and then they're going to hoist the beam up behind us. So we're very excited about the fact that we are nearing completion of this project. Raising the beam today means that we are completing this work. You know, we are moving forward. We have a new press box that's going to be in place, and putting that beam up there just signifies the fact that we are on track. We are moving forward for the fall season to open up with a full, brand new stadium for our students and for our fans and for the community at large. So today, very symbolically, is just we're there. We're moving forward and we've got it. So that's really why we're out here celebrating today.
Seeing these type of things happen, it's a sign of hope that we're all continuing to build upon what we believe could happen in this district. That beam is one little step of it. When the stadium was built in its original capacity, everyone from grade school students to big corporations put in on this to come into fruition. And that's the same as today. The district itself, the Board of Education, has funded the majority of the project because we believe so strongly that this is going to be a game changer, not only for our schools, but for our region.
So for this facility to be renovated at this period of time, it's just an outstanding opportunity for athletes today and athletes in the future to have a place to play that's really significantly different, and it is state of the art.
My name is Kevin G. Jewett. I work for Dayton Public Schools. I am a bus driver and OBI trainee at this time. When I joined DPS, it was at a time where me as a bricklayer, I couldn't find a job, and they have kept me working ever since I got here. Long as, you know, you have integrity, they trust you. You know, it's primarily integrity and trust. Long as you're fair about that, they're fair with you. A bus driver to me means freedom and integrity, issues that I can be trusted, and you can trust me with your children. The ones I carry, they know I'm gonna treat them, and their parents know that I'm gonna treat them just like I treat my kids. You know, zero tolerance, bullying and whatever, and that I have their best interest. After all, they're the most precious cargo. I love driving. I never thought I would love driving, but I love driving, and I'll pick any kid up anywhere. And once they're in my care, you best believe I'm gonna do my best to protect them.
This key is a key to the city. Now, I could say it opens every door, but that would be not telling the truth. But it's symbolic of someone that we want to make sure that they feel welcome every time they come to Dayton.
Hello DPS students, I'm Anthony Green and I attend Ponus Career Technology Center. Today I am going to help you learn how to use the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority, also known as RTA, for your school transportation. From finding a route to riding the bus and arriving safely at your destination. This video will cover everything you need to know to begin using the RTA today. Let's get started. Finding a route. There are several different ways to find a route to take you to and from school or any other location. If using your phone, find your Google or Apple Maps and type in your destination. Change your mode of travel to taking a bus, which you can do by tapping the bus icon. From here, your phone will display your route from walking to the bus stop, riding the bus, and exiting the bus, and walking to your final destination. This same process can take place on a desktop computer. Simply go to Google Maps, type in your destination, change the mode of travel to a bus, and view your route options. If your starting location is not currently filled in, you can type in the address of the location you will be starting from. You can also download the free transit app to view routes. Type in your current location and your destination to view the RTA route you should take. The transit app will also tell you when you should start walking to the bus stop in order to arrive just before the bus pulls up. If you would like to view each RTA route schedule in detail, you can visit the RTA website at iRideRTA.org. From there, select routes and click on each route to view a map, stop locations, and arrival times. Waiting at the bus stop. It is good practice to get to your bus stop at least 5 minutes before the bus is scheduled to arrive. While waiting on the bus, it is important to make yourself visible so the bus driver knows you're waiting. A good way to do this is to stand up and wave when you see the bus approaching. Remember to be fare ready by having your pass in your hand before boarding the bus. Entering the bus and paying for your ride. When you enter the bus, you will need to tap your pass on the payment reader. The passes are good for an unlimited number of rides in a 31-day period. The 31-day period starts the first time you tap your pass. If you receive a new pass before the old one expires, do not activate the new pass until you need it. This will ensure you continue to have unlimited rides throughout the entirety of the next month. It is your responsibility to remember when you activated your pass. To do this, you can mark the date of your first scan and expiration date on the card. DPS is providing students with monthly passes. Passes will be distributed at each high school on a monthly basis. Please speak to your principal if you need one. Note that these cards will not be reloadable and expire after 31 days. Riding the bus. Please take a seat or stand and hold onto a handrail or safety strap while the bus is moving. If you're standing, please be sure to stay behind the yellow line at the front of the bus for your safety. Other rules of the road include no smoking of any kind, no eating or drinking. If you bring food or drinks on board, they must be in a sealed container. While listening to music, wear headphones. Refrain from speaking on cell phones. Customers must not use profanity or engage in disruptive behavior. Vandalism of RTA property is not tolerated. Customers must keep the aisles clear to allow others to pass. If there is limited seating, please allow older customers and those with disabilities to sit down near the front of the bus. Please follow these rules and any other instructions provided by your driver. If rules are not followed, passengers may be removed from the bus. Exiting the bus. When the bus is approaching your stop, you must signal to the driver that you need off by pulling the cord on the side of the bus. Pull the cord after you pass the stop just before the one you need. When exiting the bus, please exit through the rear door to allow people entering the bus to use the front door. Remember that traffic does not stop for transit vehicles. Never cross in front of the bus. And obey all traffic laws and watch for oncoming traffic after exiting. Please exercise caution while crossing roads and intersections. If you have additional questions about using RTA, please visit iRideRTA.org.
Today was a day of excitement and enthusiasm and an inspiration for kids. Our goal is to inspire kids by doing and experiencing science in really fun ways. So if we can make science fun and exciting, they're going to gravitate towards those things, and then they're going to be like, oh, I need to do more of that, and I want to try that. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to try new things, because science is all about learning, exploring, and really just investigating the world around us. Being able to come out to a school like Roosevelt Elementary and working with Dayton Public Schools is really important, because I want these kids to see and I want them to experience science in a way they've never experienced it before. Make it fun, make it big, make it explosive, but most importantly, make it relatable to them. And that's what this whole program is all about. What we got to do today, what I got to do on stage, doing all my demonstrations, was fun. But the engineering design challenge, where kids are building and they're testing and they're figuring things out, that's what science is really all about, is figuring out, oh, that didn't work. How do I make it better? Or, oh, let's try that again, but let's change it just a little bit. That variable needs to change. So watching them build their towers and actually figuring out how to get that ping pong ball as high as they possibly could, that's amazing. And you could just see their wheels working the whole time. And that's what this is all about, is getting them to be okay with trying it, but most importantly, with not getting it right the first time.
celebration here in Northwest Dayton, we announced a major project in partnership with Dayton Public Schools to create a learning garden at Fairview Elementary.
This is a community-inspired event and location. My name is John Steinbrenner. I'm one of the designers at Grunder Landscaping, and I'm just lucky enough to be a part of bringing it to life.
I am so happy to be here tonight, and I want to thank everyone that's been a part of this process. The Northwest Dayton project is such a great opportunity for Northwest Dayton residents. Here at Fairview Elementary in particular, we're going to have a beautiful garden thanks to this group that envisioned it for our students. So I'm so excited. I'm so thankful for the partnership with Learn to Earn Dayton, with the Northwest Dayton Project, with Omega CDC, with all of our partners that have made this possible. Grunder Landscaping, everyone has made this possible. And I'm so thankful for that.
My name is Gary Armstrong. I am the assistant principal at Kemp Elementary School, graduating from Dunbar High School, having attended DPS since kindergarten. DPS has had a great positive impact on my entire family and given me and several members of my family rewarding careers. I love impacting the lives of students, male and female. Mentoring and coaching has been a passion of mine my entire career. I enjoy being a role model for students. The benefits of working in DPS are endless. Dayton Public Schools provides a great place for employees to develop as professionals and positively impact the families and students of our community.
The season was pretty good. I loved it. I enjoyed every moment. What I enjoy most is the atmosphere that my team provides. I feel like it's a good atmosphere, good energy, good vibes.
Being a senior, this is my last year, so it was pretty sad, but watching the freshmen come in and grow to become better and to look up to us, it was really good overall, and I think our boys did really good. They went pretty far. To be a cheerleader is more than just accessory to the basketball team. It's really just to push your team on. We're like a support system. Also, we're like a hype squad. So I feel like without the cheerleaders, it's not a team.
Well, I have the memory of me being the first male cheerleader of Ponance, and I'll say I would cherish that forever because it's a time in history that I feel that I've actually changed something, and I'm actually doing something that represents people like me.
I just want to say to our coaches, thank you for pushing us to be the best that we ever could, and I thank you for everything you have done for me over the 4 years, everything you have done for this program. Thank you.
So this is the game design programming pathway. A lot of it involves some basic, like your basic programming class, your game design class, the IT career field, and then the programming career field is ever ending. So, I mean, there's so many opportunities career-wise that kids can really look into and then build upon and get certifications in here to help when they leave here, they're better prepared, and then resume builders are, I mean, they can have as many as they want when it comes to certification, and that looks phenomenal for them. And within this current pathway, I mean, there's endless opportunities for kids when it comes to IT programming, game design. It's been very exciting for the kids that have come through. Some of the stuff we do in here is really cool and very innovative for 21st century learning skills.
I learned so far, I'm learning right now the basics of programming and all like functions and all that. And so like I think it's preparing me for the future because like I get to have some experience before I get like thrown out into college or into the real world. And so I could like jump into my career than have to wait and learn after I get out of high school.
I feel like DPS gives students a very big variety of choices that they want to do whenever choosing their pathway. So I feel like they're doing good, like giving students like a large amount of options.
So this is a career field and a pathway that you can come in and you'll enjoy it every day and want to come back. And so that's a huge push. And we can make it as relatable and applicable to students' lives as much as possible.
My name is Brandon Stillimer, and I'm the automotive teacher here at Ponitz. I'm actually a Ponitz automotive graduate. After I graduated, I went to the military and became a mechanic for the military. After that, I came back and went to college and ended up coming here to teach at the program I graduated from. In this program, I learned the basic skills like tools, theories, and principles of how brakes work, how engines operate.
My sophomore year, we took motors. We broke them all down, put them right back together. My junior year, we did electrical. I loved electrical.
Pretty much the basics right now: oil change, tire rotations, tire changes, how engines work, performance.
They're learning how to use the machines in here, the lifts, tools, and everything. I've learned how to break down engines, fix cars. I've learned how to do electrical. I'm in electrical now.
This is my first time working on a project car, like kind of by myself, but it's not a one-man job at all. You need a team.
So I think the biggest benefit is not only do they get to learn at an earlier age, but also they can take the skills they learned and get employment earlier. This program, we partner with a lot of really good partners, and we can get them into job placement. They're starting to build their networking earlier in life than waiting until later.
Everybody can't teach you how to work on a car. Our teachers are here for it to break down and show us what really goes into a car besides the basics.
It's cool to see the progression from when I was here to what the district is now and then what we're looking forward in the future.
Dayton Public Schools have prepared me for my future to be successful in my automotive industry and strive for my dreams.
I want to end up opening my own business and helping other people who are in need of cars or just working on the cars.
Through our advisory committee, we're finding out what the real world needs, and we're building those technicians to get them into what is the current need for the industry.
My name is Mark Fairhurst. I am the teacher leader or lead teacher at Horace Mann Elementary, and this is my 6th year in this role. DPS is a great place to land for a career. If you want to work in a district with tremendous diversity and with unique challenges in an inner city environment, and you don't want to just choose the path of least resistance and the easiest career where I guess I would call it just putting it on autopilot and expecting your students are all going to be self-learners, this is the place for you. You will have, again, tons of opportunities to work in unique settings with children of diverse backgrounds who have tremendous needs. We all recognize that, we acknowledge that, but we don't steer away from it. We welcome that. We relish the opportunities to demonstrate what a great staff we have and what a great district we have. And time again, I've seen people step up to those challenges and take them on and be a real difference maker in someone's life. When I interviewed for this role, I remember Dr. Lawley, after asking me the interview questions, asking me if I had any questions, and I said yes. Tell me that I will have the opportunity to work closely with staff in a way that will make a difference in their lives. Tell me it's going to be about changing lives, and by extension, helping teachers change children's lives by equipping them to be better at the craft than they were before we met and before we worked through the coaching process. When I get up in the morning, I need to know that what I do professionally makes a difference. And so that motivates me, challenges me to come to work prepared to do the best possible job that I can, regardless of what I'm called to tackle that day.
Remember, we tell you before, there are 4 reasons why you vote. For candidates or issues that benefit you, your livelihood, your family, and your community. No other reason. You don't vote because someone is tall or short, black or white, male or female, Republican or Democrat. You vote those 4 reasons. That takes care of you and your family and your community.
So today is the first time I'm going to be voting for my family. My family is from Mexico, so I'm the first generation from my family. So right now, this is everybody in the background is voting for the first time. It was a very amazing experience. I like that we were crossing like around the bridge, and you know, it was just a very powerful moment where, you know, it's like your first time and you're going to have that as your memory to like, oh, I remember I have to cross the bridge to like vote. If you want to fix something that is really injustice, then your vote really does matter. Like every person votes matters. Voting for the first time is kind of like exciting because, you know, I get to go home and then just tell my parents that I just voted, and then they just seem proud of me because they never experienced like something like this in voting before. So I'm like kind of like giving them like a chance to like, oh, if like something is wrong, I'm able to like make the change.
My name is Angela Shelton. I am the assistant principal at Fairview Elementary in Dayton Public Schools. So I enjoy working with Dayton Public Schools because of the interactions that I have with students on a day-to-day basis. It is those small opportunities to make connections and help students to self-regulate and getting their bodies ready to learn that I appreciate the most. I appreciate and I love working with the teachers in Dayton Public. Dayton Public has the most phenomenal teachers. I've learned so much from them during my years here in Dayton Public. And so it's those things, the students and the teachers and the connections that makes coming here. Everything that I hold true to me, everything that I value closely, I have actually been grounded in that through DPS. To be specific, when we talk about being equitable, it was through DPS where I was able to join the Montgomery County Equity Fellows and to really start digging in and having deep conversations around equity. I got that through DPS. When I think about social emotional learning, which is very dear to my heart, I got that through DPS, through Conscious Discipline and our partnership with Learn to Earn and Preschool Promise. When you talk about instructional strategies and approaches to learning, I dug deep in that through DPS. So I am the professional that I am right now because of the initiatives and the strategies and the approaches that are grounded in Dayton Public Schools.
My name is Richard Rayford. I am the Senior Executive Director for Dayton Public Schools. So our staff has a very important role into education, which they make sure that the buildings are clean for the students, which helps them to focus more on the education part of school, so they have a better opportunity to learn. DPS has had a huge impact on my family. I've actually had 4 children that graduated from DPS who are successful. 2 are nurse, and 1 is a semi-driver for a big company. I've also had probably 10 nieces and nephews that has attended DPS as well, and I currently have probably about 7 great nieces and nephews that attend Dayton Public Schools. And I enjoy coming into the schools when I see their smiling faces, and they like to see their uncle come in and talk to them and try to help them to gain a better path for their education. Personally, DPS has impacted me both professionally and personally, and I enjoy the opportunity that it has provided. If you enjoy contributing to the education of children, this is a great place to start. There's an opportunity for growth in your success. If you like to advance your career, there's excellent opportunities here for you to advance your career. And I've been here 17 years, and I wouldn't trade any year for working here.
We are having our groundbreaking ceremony for Welcome Stadium project, and right now we're going to have some amazing things happening here. More importantly, we are going to have all our student athletes been able to use the facility. So our middle school, their football games are over here. Even our high schools, our soccer games are played here. We have many community members that come through here, 5Ks, they run around the building and they run inside the building. At some point, we want to bring concerts here too. We were intentional with our lighting, so it's not just white lights, but we have color lights too. So the upgrades on our Wi-Fi so that, people can use their electronic devices, and when UD come here, they're not having issues, or any other colleges that may want to use it. We also were intentional with the track with making sure we put our college lines on there too. It's definitely going to be a multi-purpose facility for sure.
I think the most exciting thing is just the feel you get when you talk to people about it. From talking to kids to talking to our elders, they're all excited about this. There's so many pieces. There's people who are, they want to come down and buy a shirt from the Spirit Shop before a game. Or there's people who want to come out and they spent time looking at some of the trophies and old pictures. There's people, the kids are like, I can't wait to run on that track and get out on that field. So just knowing that we're doing so much that people are just excited about different pieces, I think that's what makes me excited, is just seeing the excitement in people's faces. It's going to be a magnificent facility. It's going to be somewhere they can come out and enjoy and be their best. And I think our community should be excited for what it can bring to not only our students, but for the city and the region, as far as getting some activities here and being a community space that everybody can enjoy.
The thing that I'm most excited about is just the actual opportunity for our students to play on a high quality field. I come to a lot of football games. I come to soccer games here. Band competitions, whenever there are outside groups that come in, also occur here. And just to have a place that our students are proud of, a place that they'll enjoy playing on, because this is a legacy stadium. I mean, 1949 was when this was built originally, and while it's in okay condition, it's been kept up as much as you can. It's time for a resurfacing, a refacing, a revisioning of what this should look like, and that's what's happening right now. I think that we should all be excited for this upcoming change because it's a reality now. We've talked about it for a few years here whenever I've been the superintendent, but it's a reality now, and I know other people have talked about it for years and years and years. It's reality. Today, it's the beginning.
My name is John L. Foster. I'm a math teacher here at Ponus CTC, and I'd like to say I am DPS. I enjoy working with my students, helping them to learn what they need to learn for the day. I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy that road of discovery along with the students. help us to get from point A to point B in terms of increasing their knowledge and also increasing their wisdom as well concerning mathematics. Superintendent Lolly and my math supervisor, Dr. Kurt, and of course my wife, and of course my colleagues, my math colleagues, and just my colleagues in general. They all give me encouragement. We just, like a big family, we just encourage each other. I believe DPS is a good place for anyone to start their career because we have children who are in need of having good mentors, good leaders, good teachers who are willing to show them love to help them to grow, because they might not get that entirely at home, but this will be a second family to them to get that love and get the knowledge and get the education, the good education that they need to have to go and prosper in this world of ours.
Project Surge is a transition to work program for young adults with disabilities. It is a unique program that is 1 school year in length. During that time, the students will participate in 3 targeted internships based on their interests and strengths. They will acquire competitive, marketable, and transferable skills through their internships. Some of the duties that they might participate in are cleaning, assisting patients and staff, delivering supplies, transporting patients, cooking, fixing things throughout the hospital. And then through these tasks, they learn valuable life skills such as how to handle constructive criticism, teamwork, appropriate communication for the workplace, critical thinking. If a student is committed to finding competitive employment, they will have a job when they are completed with this program. We are with them every step of the way.
I just want to encourage our students to come to school and be okay with who you are. Whoever you are accepted, and we love you, and we look forward to having you here.
The main words of encouragement I have for students, whether you're moving to a new school or a new grade, is to be yourself, be who you are, and don't give up.
I'm really excited to meet our new middle school students who are coming to 7th grade. Middle school is an interesting and weird world, but we are ready for you, and we can't wait to help you prepare in the next 2 years for high school.
One, I'm excited about our students, families, and staff returning this year to continue the work that we started last year. Secondly, I'm excited about the partnership that we've created and the journey we're about to embark on.
Hello, Dayton Public Schools. You are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So, be informed, be inspired, be reflective, but yet be relevant. Be thankful and be thoughtful, but above all, be you. Looking forward to having a great and exciting school year.
The Dayton Public School District has 16 thriving elementary schools serving preschool students as young as 3.5 years old through 6th grade. Caring and dedicated teachers and staff are determined to help all students succeed academically. Individualized attention is critical to academic success. DPS elementary schools follow a double teaching model in 1st through 3rd grade. Having 2 teachers per classroom allows for class size reduction, with 1 teacher focusing on math and 1 on literacy. This allows students to receive more one-on-one attention to help them excel academically. In addition to traditional academic subjects, students of all grade levels learn to be problem solvers, team players, and solution-oriented thinkers through STEM experiences. Career experiences begin in kindergarten to introduce students to a variety of career paths and opportunities. Art, physical education, and music classes are also part of a student's well-rounded educational experience. Music classes are designed to give students hands-on experience and make them excited to participate and learn. Many elementary schools also provide after-school programs and family resource coordinators to connect families to any services they may need. In addition, all DPS preschools are free and rated 5 stars by the Ohio Department of Education. By choosing Dayton Public Schools, you are choosing to give your student an opportunity to learn, grow, and achieve. Learn more and enroll today at DaytonPublic.com.
Who am I? I was born in Diamond, Missouri. My birthday is January 1st, 1864. I was an inventor of peanut butter. I've never been married and no children. I passed away January 5th, 1984 due to anemia. I'm Jamarion Jeffrey. I attend Kaiser Elementary School. I'm in the 6th grade. Who am I? George Washington Carver.
Everything we're teaching in music in Dayton Public Schools goes towards the whole child. So we're helping people, kids not just be better musicians, but be just better people. The skills we're teaching really go to increase literacy with our early learners. We are, just teaching how to focus, how to learn, the actual ability to learn new skills, whether it's literacy, math, social studies, music, art, PE, really any of those.
I think this is awesome. The crowd today amazed me. I didn't know how many people would show up. The children showed up, and then their parents showed up, and some of them even came up and said, thank you for doing this. So this is our first adventure out in public since COVID. So we are thrilled that we can stand here and present this.
We have an incredibly talented group of kids here in Dayton Public Schools, and today's just a great chance to celebrate those talents that those kids have.
My name is John Houston, and I teach biology at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School with Dayton Public Schools. I've thought a lot about why a young teacher would want to choose to work at DPS, and I think Dayton has such a rich history of successful people and a lot of creativity, and there's a great spirit in the city of Dayton. What I enjoy most about my job at DPS, I really enjoy working with the students. I like seeing how our students grow as people. What really resonates with me is every time you look across the room, you don't know who the people you see could be, the next doctor, the next lawyer. You know, I envision myself going to the hospital one day and having one of these people working on me, or having one of these students be an attorney that I may have to hire at some point. You know, they're going to be part of tomorrow, and they're really thriving in this high school environment that we've created. We have so many students that just seem on the edge of success. And so if you come to Dayton and you teach in Dayton, you can really help someone find that dream and find that path. You have so many young people with tremendous skill and creativity that just don't know how to project themselves or how to bring that forward. They don't know what they have. And so there's no better place to do that than right here in Dayton.
So in Dayton Public Schools, we're really happy to have Project Lead the Way, which is sort of a nationwide STEM program. They've got a whole bunch of different STEM classes, and our goal, we call it Gateway. It's a gateway to high school, right? So we're trying to get kids excited and interested in these different STEM areas, right? Whether it's robotics or engineering or whatever it is. And it doesn't matter exactly what they're doing here. They're learning those skills that you talked about, the 21st century skills, right? Teamwork, collaboration, problem solving. So we're using a lot of technology that is good for them to learn, but the real skills that they're getting is that problem solving and that collaboration, because the technology is going to change, right? And the key is for them to learn those skills.
My favorite part is when the students take ownership. The other day we were doing robots, and a girl who always says, I can't do it, said, Miss Tubbs, look, I did that, I made that robot go. So that was kind of priceless. And I like them seeing the aha moments when they figure out something, especially the girls, when the girls that, you know, aren't really into STEM as much as the boys are. And when they get their robots working and they take ownership and pride in what they're doing and they're excited about it, that's really special to me.
Hello, and welcome to Mental Wellness Minute. I'm Kara Hofacker with Community Behavioral Health Services at Dayton Children's Hospital. Today we're going to be talking about mental wellness and how it's being affected right now. There's a lot of challenges in general with COVID, the illness itself, restrictions, quarantine, disruptions in school. A lot of our kids haven't been in school for a year or 2 years at this point. And reduced tolerance for socialization. It's been a while since we've had to be in large groups. There's a lot of new rules and a lot of changes at home. So today we're going to talk about fears and worries and helping your child manage their fears and worries. Most children experience some level of fear or worry, and it impacts every child differently. We're hoping to be able to help you recognize them in your child and how they may impact them and how to help them feel more confident and empowered. Some common childhood fears and worries are being hit by a car, getting lost, being afraid of the dark, storms, imaginary creatures such as monsters, or certain fears of animals such as dogs, spiders, or snakes, or birds. Older kids have a little bit different of fears. They may be concerned about violence, family issues, family approval, or being cool with their friends. And now especially COVID, being sick, hospitals and doctors' offices may be scary to them. Some examples of how fears and worries might present in your child are stomach aches, headaches, complaining of not feeling well. They may be struggling to sleep. They may not want to go places or leave home or be without you as the parent. They may be avoiding certain situations that they used to enjoy. They might ask a lot of questions on a specific topic. Some children struggle with acting out, such as increase in behaviors or talking back, goofing off. Some children struggle with acting in behavior, such as withdrawing from friends or family or self-harm. And why do our children have worries? Some children are just more likely to develop them than others. Oftentimes, this can come through an experience, such as walking by an aggressive dog that is barking loudly, or seeing the storm destruction from the 2019 tornadoes. Other times, this can come from witnessing another person's reaction to a fear, such as a sibling who is scared of an animal and seeing their fear when talking about that animal can rub off on them. Why address them now? It could be impairing their ability to function in school, such as failing classes or skipping classes, refusing to go to school at all. It could impair their social lives, withdrawing from friends or their favorite activities, sports they used to like. It can also overtake them if they're not addressed. Their fears may be irrational, and discussing generalizations such as all storms destroy houses or all dogs bite, which can really impact them from experiencing life. And this can provide you the opportunity to provide support to them and teach them about their fears. So what can you do? Talk to your child about their worries. Share your experiences relating to what they're afraid about. Normalize worry and share things that you might be fearful of or that you worry about. Set examples for them of how to manage their fears and worries. Teach them coping strategies such as breathing when they're overwhelmed, learning how to relax, imagination to take their mind off of what they're afraid of, self-talk to calm themselves down, or to seek support if they feel that they're overwhelmed. Helping them to gradually face their fears, such as if they're afraid of dogs, maybe meet some friendly dogs, walk by some dogs behind fences that aren't being aggressive, or take a class to learn how to interact with animals. Remain calm when they are scared. Support them facing things they cannot avoid, such as doctor's appointments, and praise them for facing their fears. Thank you so much for taking the time to invest in your child. Remember that fears and worries are normal for both adults and for kids. Just be mindful of how their fear or worry may be impacting their daily functioning, such as school or interacting with families and friends if they're avoiding certain situations. Be supportive, setting an example for them of how to overcome fears and normalizing having fears and worries. Come up with a plan with your child on how to tackle those fears and worries, and you guys can conquer anything. Thank you.
The All City Band is a band made up of 3 high schools in Dayton, which would be Belmont High School, Thurgood Marshall High School, and Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. We bring our bands together so that we are bringing back bands in the public schools of Dayton.
Well, I've seen a lot of people in bands, and that got me interested in music, and I've been around music my whole life. I was in choir during my elementary years, and that really got me into actually, being in music.
Dr. Lally has been nothing but supportive of us. Music in the schools helps scholarships. It helps them to travel to see outside of the state. Being in the band has allowed them these opportunities to go see this other state or go to Washington, D.C. or Texas or even out of the country.
Band's given me the opportunity to be able to go to college and have scholarships, and I've got to see a lot, especially this year, being able to be with the other schools. I've got to learn from the other band directors. You get to experience a lot, and you get to have that family and connection in band, and you get to just let go and just play.
My experience is always nervous. I'm always nervous when it comes to being in the games because I have a lot of people watching me, but what brings me back is the fact that I know I'm going to make these people actually love the music that they hear.
Meeting the students from the other schools, from the different bands, it's very fun. It's a fun experience. You get to clash your personality with other people. You get to express yourself through music. You get to have fun, watch the game.
I have some of the best students. I really admire their tenacity, their dedication, and I just admire that they come in willing to work to help build this program. For them, they're just like, well, this is fun. Let's just enjoy the moment, and they have made the most out of it. I just really applaud these students for what they do.
Hey you guys, I'm Wham Middleton.
Too Tall Winston.
And we're with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters here at Belmont High School. We just want to thank Dayton Public Schools for having us out here. Come on now.
Who am I? I raced horses for money. I have 4 gold medals. My nickname is Buckeye Bullet. I ran German-made shoes. Who am I? Jesse Owens. And I am Dante Foster Goes to Kemp Elementary 5th grade.
Students in grades 4 through 8 across the district are competing in Dayton Public Schools Math Olympics. This is an annual event that takes place where students have 3 competitions, a Battle of the Brains competition, and then there's a critical thinking and collaboration challenge where this year students are trying to break out of a breakout EDU box. They're applying all their skills from quarters 1, 2, and 3 to work collaboratively as a team and crack some codes through mathematical puzzles. And then there's also a design challenge where students this year have designed their dream home, and on the day of their competition they're presented with a twist from the judges, and they have to apply that twist given the mathematical parameters to their design and then defend their reasoning in an interview process at the end. Today's events are preparing the students for future careers and goals because they are really trying to strategize together. They have to lean on one another to determine the best way to get to their common goal. Teamwork and problem solving are huge components of today's competitions. They are actually one of the categories that they are scored in is their ability to work as a team. So they have to learn to effectively communicate with one another in order to be successful on today's challenges, particularly the CTC challenge, the breakout box. They have been strategizing together for months as they practiced as a team with their Building Math Olympics coaches. The goal is for them to increase their ability to problem solve and collaborate and think critically and really learn that math is fun.
My name is Jacqueline Rutterow. I'm Senior Director of School Programs for Save the Music Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping students, schools, and communities all around America reach their full potential through the power of making music. Save the Music is very fortunate to have strong partnerships with our manufacturers. And in Dayton, we purchased Conn-Selmer band instruments for the 3 middle schools this year. Conn-Selmer, in turn, kind of to add some support above and beyond, brought Mickey Smith Jr., the 2020 Grammy Music Educator Award recipient, to Dayton. So we have spent the last 2 days in all 3 middle schools where Mickey has worked hands-on with the students, really establishing kind of fundamentals, reinforcing proper posture and breathing and making a good sound on their horns. Here in Dayton, we've laid a foundation to support the K-8 schools. So all of the students in elementary school having access to high-quality musical instruments to make music in school every week. And the middle school students who are picking up a trumpet or a trombone for the first time have a high quality musical instrument to reach their full potential. Also, with a superintendent like Dr. Lally, who is a former music educator herself, really prioritizes arts and music education and has made huge investments from her role at the district to ensure these programs will be successful and sustained for years to come.
With this instance, my focus is to teach them the music, but it's also to show them that they're loved, they're valued, and they're wanted, and that there is so much promise inside of them. We have to show our kids now more than ever how much they matter. My time here in Dayton Public Schools has been nothing short of amazing. I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm of the students. It was so refreshing to come to a place where the kids really appreciate the opportunities that they're being given. And this is something I won't soon forget. And I want to tell those kids that may be watching and all those that are connected with this institution that what you do matters more than what you realize. And to keep on going and make those next steps the best steps and the next sounds the best sounds.
If we catch them right in kinder and first grade, we can do a lot of good work. Hi, my name is Dr. Nikki. I am an educator. I work with teachers and kids around the country, and I write a lot of books. I've been working in classrooms doing guided math as well as looking at energizers. And because there's so much research that says kindergarten, first grade, all of that math is foundational to reading and to math. There's long-term studies that look at what kids were doing in kindergarten.
show that the Board of Education, actually first, I gotta come out of this first. Let the record show that the Board of Education of Dayton City School District has just completed an executive session in which it considered the appointment, employment, dismissal of a public employee and conferred with an attorney involving pending or imminent court actions. I move that we come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? It's been moved properly second. Vice President Smith, may we have a vote since you have the paper? I can't appoint you until we come out.
I will say since I have the paper. President Goodwin.
Yes.
Smith, yes. Sampson.
Yes.
Wick Gagnet.
Yes.
Need a good pen. Pickett.
She is excused.
Okay. Ms. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
That would be 6 yeses.
All right, and I'm going to appoint Vice President Smith as the Treasurer Pro Temp.
All right.
All right, next on the agenda is new business for us to discuss district programming. So I will open up to the floor to any board member that would like to start a conversation.
Okay, I'll start, I guess.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, as a parent that's worked with MindPlay and Success Maker, I've looked into it some more, and it just kind of bothers me that they're just being tossed aside. One thing, Success Maker, we've paid for 2 years. Or we are actually on we just finished year 3 of a 5-year contract. I think one of the main things after doing some research was the story of Kemp. Kemp, and a lot of things move the needle on how our schools improve, but Kent has improved quite a bit. They've gone pre-COVID from being the basically a number 8. They're a mid-level number 8 out of elementary schools to just this past year. Now they're 4th, and they have some of the highest rates of participation in MindPlay and Success Maker, and I think their improvement is part of that. And just looking at the schools that do have high participation rates, they show, well, let me see if I can bring them forward. I mean, the schools like, for Success Maker, it's like Horace Mann, Eastmont Camp, Rivers Edge, and Roosevelt. And for MindPlay, basically, yeah, there's a lot of, Kemp and Horace Mann are some of the big participants in that. And it's just generally when you look at improvement, and when you look at the numbers of school improvement, the schools that are taking part or have high participation in these programs generally have higher rates of improvement from year to year in the performance index score. So that's basically it. I mean, and actually, just sitting down with my daughter and working with them, I could see how I would work with her with Success Maker, because actually one of the things that's kind of difficult sometimes is to keep your kid from just guessing on a math test. You basically have to pretty much force her to, no, you just can't guess. You have to go through it and go through the process. And you see if she misses something, the program it notices that, and it'll ask questions like that one again. I mean, it's something that's done for each student that is done that would be very difficult for a teacher in a teaching setting to notice exactly which students are getting it and which ones are not in real time, and to alter your instruction for each student based upon those real-time results. So I could see it working for my daughter. And I won't lie. I mean, I was part of the board that really has, in the past, put a lot of emphasis on these types of programs to see if we could move the needle. Now, it's been mentioned to me that some of these schools that are performing well, and such as Horace Mann, would perform well anyway. Well, I don't know that there's really evidence of that. Horace Mann has improved. Horace Mann doesn't always improve. Horace Mann has a record of being maybe in the top 5 elementary schools, but it's not always on top, and right now it's not on top. I mean, that's just basically one of the things. It's also been mentioned to me that suburban schools do not use Mind Play or Success Maker, and that's easy to look up, and that's just basically not true. I mean, I just got a list from the vendor of the schools that do use these. Beechwood, I think it's the number 5 most highest performing school in the state, uses, that is one that uses Mind Play. I mean, Sugar Creek, Northwest, Summit, Valley View, some of the rural and suburban schools, they use these. Springboro has a long history of using Mind Play. Success Maker has a lot of local schools, city schools, suburban schools, and rural schools. That's about all I have right now, Madam President.
Okay, I think Dr. Lawrence probably wants to say something.
I do. I think for the academic team, I would suggest, Board Member Lacey, that maybe it's not so much the elimination of Mind Play and Success Maker and any other of those products like that, but it's the elimination of the prescription where you are forced to use them in certain spaces and places without giving teachers and principals the autonomy to determine how to use those tools. And in many cases, those tools are being used for Tier 1 instruction instead of Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction, which is really what you need, which is really where you focus on student growth, given the academic situation that we're in. So I probably, I have no problems putting that back on the agenda and purchasing that. We allocated the money for it. I think what I'm stressing and pushing for is that autonomy to let our instructional leaders move school buildings in the way that they see best fit, and to have teachers given the autonomy to teach again and be teachers. They went to school to do that. They have advanced degrees to do that. I just think that we're in a space academically where why not do something different, which means not a prescription, but a prescription for each building, and let those building leadership teams, those teacher-based teams, work within the confines of those walls to say this is how we're going to develop kids. And so that's kind of my position.
I had a question for you on that one. Seeing that we have like 3 weeks before school starts, and I completely agree with allowing the people who do the work to talk about how to do the work. Mm-hmm. How realistic is it today in 3 weeks for our teams to actually develop a plan, given that they have less than 3 weeks to start and launch off in this school year? You don't have to press the button.
I don't have to press the button.
No,
It
it's
just
just
comes on
always
automatically.
on. Yes.
Hey, Dr. Williams, could you come up and talk about our co-teaching plan and the feasibility of it? Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for allowing me the chance to speak. Co-teaching is a hugely effective model. It's been in place since the 1970s. It's an amazing way to transform from double teaching to co-teaching. So we already have 2 teachers in the classroom, so it's a very simple transition. All that it takes is some knowledge and training. I've been working directly with Chief Spurlock. So we've been working on the co-teaching model. We have preparations for creating a design for them. Some professional development for them is already in place so they can understand the model. They can have information on what it entails. They can have example lesson plans. So they will have everything they need to carry that forward. The other, there's so many amazing things about co-teaching because it allows teachers the ability to collaborate. It allows them to create that community. There are not many school districts in this area that are implementing that because they don't have the funds to have 2 teachers in the classroom, but they're already here. So utilizing those teachers for whole group instruction as well as small group instruction is amazing, just to have that time and ability. Having 2 teachers in the room is going to allow for that flexibility. For students, research has shown that it increases self-esteem, it increases their knowledge level, it increases academic performance, and all of those just make sense because we have those 2 educated teachers in the classroom who are able to work together, bring those minds together. When we create and talk and develop, we don't do it in isolation. But if you're teaching in the classroom, you have to do it in isolation. You don't really have a chance to meet and work with other teachers. But this allows for that collaboration. It allows for that extra time for students. It allows students to get almost double the time they would normally get from just one teacher in the classroom. And having been there, it's very difficult teaching math and trying to get to everyone, answer their questions, and work with the students when you absolutely need to. Another issue with with co-teaching, our co-teaching model, is that it was implemented during the time of IDEA when that legislation came about, No Child Left Behind. It was really began as a way to help and assist other students of special needs, students that needed that extra support and assistance. And we're seeing more and more of those in public education every single year. We're seeing a lot more students on the spectrum. We're seeing a lot more students with dyslexia. We now have that initiative to deal with. We have a lot more students who are traumatized and are having mental health issues. There are a lot more needs in the classroom that would really require and utilize that 2 teaching method to meet their needs as well. And it kind of goes back around to why it was originally created, helping all of those populations and all of our diverse learners.
Thank you for that information. It didn't answer my question, though.
Oh, I apologize.
That was
Please-
completely on another topic.
Please restate your question.
Yes. My question was on, and actually, can you just tell me again, what do you do in the district, Dr. Williams?
I work with Gifted in Research.
Okay. Yeah, my question was, given 3 weeks to start school, and how Dr. Lawrence mentioned or has talked about a couple of times about the building leadership teams and the teams in there actually having input on how we move forward, how realistic that is that at today's date, how we have if we deviate from what was initially planned coming right now, how we actually move with those individuals. Have they all started work yet?
No, the teachers have not started work yet.
Okay. Have the teacher leaders started work yet?
No, they don't start till I think the Wednesday of that week.
Okay. Has anybody started work that will be a part of planning on how we move forward?
The principals, curriculum, and other district leadership chiefs.
Okay. So the people are actually at work today, and then the people are coming to work in about a week, how they get together, as Dr. Lawrence has said, to actually help us put something or push, if we're removing some things out, as he's talked about, these programs and buildings having individual prescriptions, what is the plan here?
We do have a plan and we do have a timeline. So Chief Spurlock and I have already discussed the implementation. She has already spoken with principals. She's also speaking with every elementary principal again tomorrow. There's a principal meeting Monday. where she'll be talking about many elements. I'll be talking about co-teaching, what that would entail. There'll be a lot of information for principals, lesson plans, how it's implemented, how it can be the 2 strategies we're going to use with co-teaching. So all of that will be in their hands on Monday so they can start to plan and prepare. The daily schedule has already been made, so that piece is taken care of. We've already looked at specials. All of that is in place. We have that schedule in place. We have all of the teachers and staffing in place. So all of those elements are lined up. So moving toward Monday, we'll meet with the elementary principals and talk about co-teaching. There's some PD already set in place, like at Kaiser Elementary for co-teaching. So we can absolutely get the principals and the teachers ready and prepared for this.
So how much input do principals, because it sounds like you guys, when did the principals come back?
They've been back, I believe, because she's already spoken.
I believe
with me.
early July when
Early
the principals
July.
came back.
Okay, so we have a slew of new principals that
Yes.
have joined us. How much input have the principals actually had in this process? Because it sounds like a lot of administrators have crafted this process, given that, is it like 40 or 50% of new principals? I know high school, we have 5 new principals, or 4 new principals in high school. Elementary, we have,
I think 2 or 3.
so 2 or 3?
Yeah. Fairview.
Just one? Just
yeah,
Fairview?
Yeah, just Fairview. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so how much input have those individuals put into pretty much this transform, like since we deviated?
They have had a great deal of input. They've had a chance to meet with Chief Spurlock several times and discuss with her their concerns. They've discussed how things may be implemented. They've discussed the different elements that will be in place and what may be changing. They've discussed that there will be a new time frame in the afternoons for science and social studies. They have discussed all of those elements. We have a particular plan already in place that we're working on for that 1 through 3 science social studies block. So we're going to have everything in place before school starts and make sure that teachers and principals are comfortable with that model. And we will continue to assist and continue to do PD throughout the year.
Okay, so Interim Chief Spurlock has only been here about a week now. So in a week, you're telling me that they've done all this work?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a yes, and it's actually 2. Trina Collier at Eastmont, where Chief Spurlock was. And yes, they've done all that work in a week.
Anybody else have any questions?
Okay, well, when we had, double teaching, is that the correct term? Okay. And it was not, I mean, we had that for how many years? 2 years?
2. This has
2
been
years,
here,
and even after 2 years, I don't know that it was practiced with fidelity or practiced in the right way. I think I'd heard that it was not, that there were
Correct, I've heard the same.
situations where it really, they're just not doing it right. I'm not exactly sure how. Have you heard this at all? Or?
It's hard to understand how to implement something and do it correctly when there isn't a precedent and research for it. So a lot of that's going to be experimental when you're bringing in a brand new model of instruction or teaching. I've heard, we have qualitative and quantitative data on that. So the qualitative data in looking at the teachers, the staff, there was a lot of frustration and concern with how that could be implemented with diverse populations, with urban students. That was one area that really wasn't studied and is difficult to study because it doesn't have that research base to really look at how that affects students in various populations, but especially in our population because it's very different and diverse. So it wasn't found to be successful qualitatively. Quantitatively, the scores have also declined. So in any realm, if we're looking at anything, I'm looking at medicine, I'm looking at a procedure that needs to happen. I'm going to look for a doctor that has that research and knowledge base to perform that. And if something happens in the medical field, we reanalyze it, we do more research, and then we implement it and make a better plan and process. So we're looking at educating our students and what kind of plan or model to put in place. I think 2 years of a model that's been difficult and have many negative aspects associated with it.
Name one.
That the teachers were very frustrated and it's very hard to
So
implement.
they didn't know how to do it.
It's not knowing how necessarily, because there isn't, the how was pretty simple, that you're going to be in one classroom, you're going to have two teachers teaching simultaneously different subjects. And I saw this in many, many rooms because I was all over the district. So looking at the logistics of that model and how it's carried out, it's very difficult, first of all, for students to focus, because you have the same room, no barriers, and some rooms are smaller or larger than others, and you have teaching literally going on at the same time with math here and ELA there.
And I see that, and I used to go to Ruskin with my daughter, and I would see that all over the place too. I mean, we actually built these buildings with bigger hallways so that we could take kids out into the hallway. So there would be, in one corridor of Ruskin, there would be 5 different groups of kids, all basically in the same room. I mean, it's no different.
In the same space, like hall space, or the same classroom?
Yeah, same hall space.
I wouldn't
It's
qualify.
about the size of a classroom, maybe a large classroom.
Board Member Lacey, I would say they were in the same class, out in the hallway, but the same subject, doing Tier 2 instruction. Tier 2 instruction is when you have small groups.
They had, when, I don't know the term, when you have a person, no, I mean, we have teachers that take kids out of the classroom and take them out into the hall and to talk to them.
That would not qualify as the double teaching method.
It's the same thing. It's the same simple thing of having different people talking about different topics within the same room to different students.
But they were in the hallway in small groups. I'm just trying to visualize what you're. So double teaching would be just within the classroom, and you only have the 2 subjects going on.
Okay, you're talking about 2 different rooms of about the same size.
I guess I'm getting confused on the hallway.
Yeah.
So they're in the hallway.
I'll take you to Ruskin and I'll show you the hallway. It's about the size of a classroom.
So there are 5 different.
And there's about 5 classrooms.
And all 5 classrooms are out in the hall together?
Teachers, the term for the teacher, it's somebody that
Title I reading specialist?
He's a title, I believe.
Mhm.
They're in.
So the Title I reading specialist is out in the hallway teaching kids reading.
Right.
While the other teachers in the classroom teaching reading.
They don't use the term reading specialist. I'm trying to think of the term that they would use. When a child's having trouble and
So they're doing small
Inter-
group instruction,
intervention
trying to-
intervention specialists would bring kids all out in the hall. So you would have 4 or 5 different groups of kids out in the hall with different intervention specialists.
That's different than the double teaching model. 'Cause
I know it's different, but from the basis that they're in a room talking to different students about different things. I mean, you're basically, the problem with that is confusion, distraction, because they're all in the same room and doing different things. How is this different?
So being in the same room doing 2 simultaneous lessons on 2 different topics is the definition of the double teaching model. So if they're pulling small groups out into the classroom and doing alternative groups with inclusion, special educators.
Different topics.
That's different than the
Yeah,
double
those are
teaching
different
model.
topics. So you're talking about different topics in one room. I'm talking about different topics in another room.
But it's also small group instruction, isn't
It
it?
is
Because they're
small
pulling
group,
them out in
yeah.
the hallway.
And also small groups not, or for some reason are not as easily.
In the double teaching model, there aren't small groups. In the double teaching model, there are literally 2 groups, period. In the
But
same
in
room
small
doing
groups
2
can't
subjects.
possibly be distracted, you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just defining
Then
the
how's it
double
different?
teaching model and looking
How
at
is
that
it
within
not
the
distractive
classroom.
to have different groups of people talking
Well, if
about
you're
different
pulling,
stuff?
I understand what you're saying, but if you're pulling groups out into the hallway, first of all, the square footage of the hallway is going to be different. So you're going to have more space to spread out in. If you're looking at small groups, you're not looking at an entire half of a class of 30 kids or so teaching together in the same space. You're talking about 5 kids, maybe 6. Is that what you're thinking? Small
Yeah,
groups.
maybe.
So 5 or 6 kids in various groups in various spaces in a hallway is not double teaching. It is a very different model.
I'm not
But it is
saying that
working
it's
with-
double teaching.
Correct.
So, okay, I'm saying that it can be just as distractive.
It can be.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Okay, what research do you have that Mind Play and Success Maker, it'd be good to stop it?
I don't I agree with what Dr. Lawrence was saying, that there may be a different way to utilize it. Some of the issues with both of those within the classroom was that there was such a strict prescription or time frame allocated for those that had to be done during the school day. So if you're looking, I just looked with Chief Spurlock, and we were looking at like a schedule for students in elementary. So there are 5 hours of instruction. So if you're utilizing those two computer-based methods in the classroom, you've just given up at least 1/5 of their instruction time to something on a computer, which could be done at home. I mean, that's another method to possibly do it, absolutely. It could be done in a completely different way, but the issue for the past years using that was just that mandated, it has to be done during the school day, it has to be done during these times. For kids going in and out, like our gifted population, which is growing, there was a lot of struggle with how they were going to fit that into the day for the gifted kids. It was mandated, it had to be put in. For them, it's more remedial, but they still had to do that and had to finish that. So having that flexibility, possibly those could be worked in a different way and utilized in a different way for students that they fit. Another issue teachers mentioned was that they didn't align with the standards at times, and it didn't necessarily align with the instruction they were giving in the class, which can be a little confusing for students. For instance, in math, if you're working on one particular curriculum, but they're going on the computer and it doesn't relate to adding fractions, which they might be doing in the room, it can be a little bit confusing for the students. So that was another issue that teachers brought about.
But to answer my question, the research that it doesn't work, you don't have any.
Well, for what specifically? Doesn't work to increase test scores?
I mean, I think, basically, there's no research that this decision was based upon. It's really basically because some people said that it doesn't align with what they might happen to be teaching at the time. And I think, actually, I think you can talk to the people at Success Maker and MindPlay to inform them of that. If it does, I mean, actually, these things are always a work in progress. So has anybody thought to talk to the people at MindPlay and the people at Success Maker about the alignment?
Curriculum team head did that at various points, and what they were told was that this is the way the program's won. There wasn't the flexibility to alter it, so it would align particularly with the curriculum they were using in the classroom. But overall, not looking at those specific programs, but if we're looking in general at computer-based programs and what students are doing, their time in a classroom is so much better utilized by working in groups, by working with other individuals, by working with the teachers, rather than spending time online, which they could possibly do at home. So there is a different place for that, I think. In the classroom, with that amazing time that they have to be with other students, to work collaboratively, to work with teachers, and in a co-teaching model to have those two teachers to be able to work with, I don't think that's the best use of their time to be on any software that when they could have that time in person.
So when you say it doesn't align, it's just maybe timing with what they actually happen to be teaching at that time? But like adding fractions, that's going to be on the OST, is it not? Yeah, okay. So it does, it aligns with our curriculum?
Overall,
yes.
But it can be confusing for kids if it doesn't go along with what they're doing in the classroom. And I had that same issue when I taught math, because we at that time were using a different computer-based system, and I had students that were confused because it didn't quite go with our geometry lesson or whatever we might be doing. But it could have a place possibly for some students, maybe not all students, and maybe not directly in the classroom, but as another support for some of the students.
Okay, I just think, okay, if it works, and it shows it works, and kids are showing that they're getting years of progress out of these programs, I just don't see how you can actually not make these things as compulsory as they have been.
Board Member Lacey, our projected performance index this year is 51, which is about the same as it was last year. So overall, we're not having continued success. We yield to giving principals and teachers the opportunity to use those tools as best they see fit in terms of flexibility based on individual students in those buildings.
Can I ask a question? Oh, you take a sip of water?
No.
Seems
I'll
like you're
yield the floor.
Seems like you're on a roll.
I'm sorry. I'll yield.
So we've had with the double teaching model, right? Actually, my first question: are there any schools or classrooms that have been successful with it? Or
With
have
double
report-
teaching?
Yeah, with double teaching.
I do not know of any schools or classrooms that have ever used that model.
Well, I know we're the trailblazers here. This is a product out of Dayton Public Schools, so we are the people. So I'm talking about in our school system. Have we had any of our elementary classrooms, 1 through 3rd grade, 1st to 3rd grade, that have said that are shown some success?
As far as my understanding, there are a few classrooms that have implemented it, and it has worked to a certain degree. I don't believe that degree shows itself in the test scores, but they have been somewhat successful. But if we're looking overall, the percentage of teachers that have not found success with that would be much larger than those that have.
Okay, so let me dive deeper in the test scores. So we have 2 schools that I think are a little bit more successful in preliminary test scores, from what I hear, which are Horace Mann, I think, in Eastmont. In Eastmont. So what is happening? And they've had the same system over the last 2 years, and I believe they've climbed higher than I've seen since I've been here as a board member, and I've only been here a year and a half. What did they do different with the model, or have we looked at what they did different with the model themselves to gain that type of increase that we didn't see in our other schools?
It's so difficult when you're looking at a school and you're looking at test scores and achievement or not. There are so many different elements. I mean, that's one part of it, but how they utilize the double teaching model, the culture in those 2 buildings is astounding. So creating that community of togetherness with the students really makes a big difference as well. So there are other elements, I think, that could account for their elevation rather than the double teaching model.
But we can't discount that the double teaching model
Correct.
didn't put into it too, though. So if we see a drop next year, then we know that was a significant variable. And even, like, I completely agree with you guys figuring out what works in the schools that they're in. Completely agree with that part of it. But if there is something that is working in a model in some schools, why would you change it when they are excelling higher than other places?
Dr. Goodwine, I think the vast majority of the schools, 2/3 or more, we don't see increases in OST test data. And as it relates to the schools where quote unquote is working, I was not on the academic team last year, so I was not able to get in classrooms and talk to principals. But those few schools, we could ask them if they were doing it with fidelity or if they were deviating from the prescription, because I do know this, some schools did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key right there, like talking to something they did at those 2 schools increased us in the math and English. And there's something there that if we completely ignore it and don't take a step to try to figure out what formula got us to get a really good increase. I think that's just a missed opportunity of learning from something that this district created.
It can be, but if we're looking at that bigger picture in the other schools that haven't had the success, my fear would be that as we're moving forward, we have a great percentage of schools not having success. That's going to continue because we're anticipating that the preliminary scores are not going to be very positive. So I believe with the research that we have at this point, when we're looking at the lives of our students and their education, we know COVID, we know they've had all these other issues, and they do have areas they need to catch up in, that it would be much more feasible to move to a model that we absolutely know works, because it's been in line for so long.
Can you tell me the last time that above board we were over 50% as a district in elementary?
I do not know.
Have we ever been over 50% as a district in elementary? Because you said, I mean, I'm saying that to say, I don't think we know a model yet because we haven't achieved it. And we're still trying to figure out what works for an urban setting post-COVID with children that have grown up in a completely different world than when the research was put into these things.
I think it's important to note, Dr. Goodwine, that the one school that significantly outscored the others, that individual, 2, Judy Spurlock, happens to be the interim chief of elementary school, so she would know because she was there and she did it. How they, what was there, 60% for Eastmont?
They were 70% English, but Horace Mann was 70% in math.
Yeah, so 70%. So she would be able to, she and Sherry Moss, Principal Moss, might be able to tell us in particular what they were doing in terms of fidelity or lack thereof.
I think that's good because when you flip it, one was good in one section and the other was good in the other. They both didn't outshine in either, but that's a major jump when you look at what we've seen in here and to figure it out. Because again, we're trying to figure out what works. I don't know if we've ever been above 50%. I can tell you in the year and a half that I've been here, I haven't seen it. And when I see the past scores, I see very few times that as a district, the majority of our schools are even 25% of our schools have hit that 50% mark or higher. So, I mean, I guess it's that part right there of, I mean, I really encourage that working with the people who are out there doing the work to figure out what model works for them and not taking them from the same way, taking them from the double teaching model that was a one-size-fits-all and putting them in another co-teaching model that's a one-size-fits-all when we might be at the same thing and we may lose something from some people who are starting to see success in year 2. I don't know why they saw success, but something happened there in 2 different tested areas that grew. And if we can figure out some of those variables, maybe that can be recreated or happen again somewhere else.
And that's a possibility. If I were looking at research overall, research for a dissertation, research to present something as a successful method or not, and looking at all the data that we have, quantitative or qualitative, I think with 2 schools out of 15 having some success in one area or the other, I would overall consider that program or model not to be working. And I understand it's possible with many tweaks and alterations, but that could take years to really see and really tweak and really arrange that and really coordinate it so that it works for these kids. If we're looking at, and I see co-teaching is just, in my mind, in Judy's mind, such an easy transition because we already have 2 teachers in the classroom. And the double teacher model doesn't allow for a lot of flexibility, but co-teaching does. You can do the small groups. You can pull them out in the hall. You can have the 2 educated teachers. One is they're both teaching the math lesson together, but at one point a teacher notices that something's happening in the back of the room. They can step back, help and assist and support those students. So having 2 educated people focusing in on one subject and really helping the kids with that time frame rather than splitting it up, working on that one topic and one subject with those 2 teachers, with that group of kids, has been shown to be very effective over and over again.
Has it been shown? What is the percentage in urban districts?
That I would have to check, and I can look at that for you,
Okay.
Absolutely.
And just my final question on this one, and I think it's more Dr. Lawrence here. For our teaching staff, our principals, the autonomy that we're talking about with that building leadership, do they have the choice of which model that they would like to move forward with?
Absolutely. I happen to come to the last 30 minutes of the elementary school principal model, and that's my charge to them. It wasn't that you don't have to use Mind Play, you don't have to use Success Maker. He said, hey, build that model with your team, looking at your historical data, your historical data, looking at the teachers that you have, looking at whether you have long-term subs or teachers, certified teachers. In fact, even in some buildings, there aren't enough teachers, so those teachers won't be co-teaching. They will simply be teaching the class itself, because we don't have enough, at this point, we've not filled those classrooms with certified teachers. So yes, we are allowing those folks who went to school to do this, highly educated, to work through this process to create that autonomy that I think is needed to possibly move forward.
Okay. I yield my time back to Board Member Lacy.
And when you're saying that like only a couple thirds or 2/3 did not improve, I mean, when I look at the proficiency rate, 8 of 15 schools improved building. Their building proficiency rate improved.
Was that for 3rd grade reading?
No, I didn't do third grade.
Oh, I was
reading,
speaking of
and-
third grade reading.
Okay, so I didn't know exactly. Is it if
Yeah.
you're just talking about?
Sorry,
third grade
language
reading?
matters. I'm speaking the third grade reading.
Okay.
Since
And-
the double teaching is grades 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. But yeah, I agree. There are many different elements, and I think if an element's a proven success and has research behind it, I would think that you would want to keep that. That's where I'll stand.
I have one more question. How much time do they use MindPlay?
20 minutes. 20 minutes a day.
Oh, how long is a day?
7 hours.
How much instructional time is it?
For 5 hours of school day, but they were using more than that.
Yeah,
it was being used as tier 1 instruction.
So is that
the teacher takes a break and they get 20? Tells them to get 20 minutes on MindPlay.
Is that
about the same as?
So
Assessmaker.
is that a supervisory issue or is that a product issue?
That's a product issue, I think.
How? If it was only prescribed for 20 minutes a day and you're saying they were going over that.
It wasn't for 20 minutes. It wasn't for 20 minutes a day. Not every building.
Okay, so is that a product issue or is that like the management of the building or the teacher's time and things like that? What was the district? I don't know if you know, but what was the district's play for individuals to use the product? Were they supposed to use it more than 20 minutes a day? Or were they instructed to use it for more than 20 minutes of a day?
I'd have to yield to Dr. Williams. I don't know.
Okay.
My understanding, and I was just going to text to verify, was that it was about an hour a day for both of those programs, but I would have to double check.
Oh, so 2 hours a day they were
No,
instructed?
together.
Oh, so 1 hour.
yes.
I'm about to say a day.
Not two.
Maybe it was 30.
So 30 minutes
I
each.
believe it was around that, and I can certainly verify for you as well. So it took about a fifth of that instructional time for those programs.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Board Member Reinders, look like you said, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been interesting listening to this conversation. I know that we have specific populations that MindPlay was seen to be more effective too, in terms of some of our students with learning disabilities. Do we have any data on how it worked for our students with dyslexia and other certain considerations?
The little bit of research that I've shown that it works for them. Actually, the one research I did see is that it was least effective with white students that, basically just what the white students. It's actually more effective with ELL and
Right.
African American students.
Right.
And also dyslexic.
So I guess this is a question for you, Interim Superintendent Dr. Lawrence. Could we get some data on what test scores have been over, and obviously these will be skewed with COVID, but could we get it broken down into the student population using MindPlay and test scores, just to get a better sense of, was there an increase in the last 3 years of using MindPlay in particular populations of school divided by special needs or race or other things that might give us a better insight as to if it's targeted wisely with giving support to teachers and the autonomy. Is it a benefit for certain populations? Would it be a support that benefits our student population in a certain way?
Board Member Reiner, I think Mindy Clark is already working on that. So yes, that's not a problem at all.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anything else anybody wants to talk about regarding programs?
Could we just get an update? So where are we in terms of, we're keeping the 2 teachers in each classroom for the school year. Where have we landed, Dr. Lawrence, in terms of what this next school year is going to look like, what your expectations of where we're going to be going forward. What can we expect in terms of, are there any more changes that are going to be made that the board and the parents and community members that are watching ought to know? Are there any more questions about what this next school year should look like?
Hey, thank you for that question. It gives me an opportunity to talk about our focus this year is providing building-based support. That means taking all the resources that we have at central office, or most of them, and getting back to buildings and rolling our sleeves up and getting in classrooms and helping with Tier 2 instruction, Tier 3 instruction, helping with student supervision, student coaching, lunch duty, breakfast duty, dismissal. We're all hands on deck back to the building, and we're gonna focus on children this year in instruction and leadership and supervision, coaching, and doing this together. I think Dr. Williams might have mentioned earlier that grades 1 through 3 did not have science and social studies. We think all children should be exposed to science and social studies, but we're not. Yes, all children should be exposed to science and social studies, so we're bringing that in grades 1 through 3. And we are now, as a team, we met with the principals all last week, and we're looking forward to doing standards-based instruction, not just leaning on pacing guides, but standard-based instruction with principals in classrooms, teacher leaders in classrooms, demonstrating what high-quality instruction looks like, and all administrators out in buildings providing support, and many of the administrators on our cabinet are principals. There are about 7 principals on cabinet, and we all plan to be out in buildings, which is something highly unusual. It's called central office transformation. So, yeah, you can expect a high degree of, let's just say, awareness and visibility this year from the people in this building where we sit today.
Can I get an answer to my question, though? Are we having the 2 teachers, whether it's double teaching or dual teachers teaching? Are we still having those in grades 1, 2, and 3?
We are having 2 teachers, and we're moving to co-teaching, which is, as Dr. Williams expressed, scientifically based model. We've been in close contact with DEA leadership to walk through this to make sure that this is the least disruptive way to get back to the science of teaching and learning.
Okay, can I ask you a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
You said that we were not teaching any science in grades 1, 2, and 3 last year.
There was no science and social studies in those grades.
Is that part of the Ohio Department of Education standards for teaching grades 1, 2, and 3?
I think it's part of a holistic learning experience for children, regardless of what ODE says.
I'm just asking, is that part of the Ohio Department of Education teaching standards to teach science in grades 1, 2, and 3?
It is, and we can get you those standards.
Okay, and we did not teach any science in grades 1, 2, and 3 last year?
Science and social studies was not taught in Dayton Public Schools in grades 1 through 3 last year. We can get teacher testimonials, we can get principal testimonials, we can get you that data.
I would like to see that, because that seems to say that we did not align ourselves with the Ohio Department of Education standards. I would like to see the data to back that up, and to maybe talk to DEA about that and make sure that we're getting the information correct on that.
Absolutely, no problem at all.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other programs anyone would like to talk about? Did you go ahead, board member? Kanye?
I don't know if I really have a question. I guess it's kind of a question. We've talked a lot about the teachers and the curriculum and what we're going to be doing this year. Any idea how our students, what this impact will look like with our kids? Will they be, we talk a lot about these adult issues, and we're all here to teach students and be with our kids. So can we talk a little bit about that and the impact of what our students will feel? Will they walk into their classrooms and it will feel excited, and they'll be excited to be there to learn? And will this education shift model be anything probably not difficult for them to adjust to? But that's my own question. But yes, could you speak to that a little bit, please? Yeah.
And I do have a definitive answer for you on the Success Maker and Mind Play. It was 50 minutes total. So it was almost an hour for those areas. So looking at The curriculum, and it was the past 4 years, they haven't had science or social studies. The only thing that's happened in elementary grades 1 through 3 for the past 4 years was the math and ELA. So they've missed both of those subject areas. So those are coming back. We are extremely excited because we really want to give the students an opportunity for hands-on learning, for experimenting with science. Science is coming back. That is not my strong suit, so as a teacher, if you ask me to bring back science and teach that, it might be quite difficult. So we have a plan for that as well. We're working with STEM. We're working with one of the organizations, actually 2 of them, the Dayton Regional STEM Center. We're talking to them, as well as Camp Invention for science curriculum and materials. The materials are going to be, everything will be provided, everything the students need, in a box, all the lesson plans, and we've worked with these lesson plans before, and they are fabulous. The teachers are going to have a very easy adjustment moving back into that science area, and the kids are going to be so excited with the hands-on materials, being able to be active, the teachers with 2 teachers being able to work with them and facilitate that's going to go a lot better since it's a hands-on process. Bringing in history, because social studies is so important, with the science and social studies curriculum that we want to do in the afternoons. We're going to bring in the TATEM multidimensional reading model as well, so they're going to get additional reading and writing time, which can just increase everything, increase test scores, their confidence, their abilities, because the TATEM model is 2 nonfiction readings, 2 texts, so they're looking at those together, they're reading them simultaneously, they're pulling out the vocab, and the vocab is high-end. This is like SAT vocab they're learning at a very young age. So the sooner we get them engaged to those areas of vocabulary, that knowledge, the better for them in the future. It also greatly builds self-confidence because they're reading these difficult texts, they're learning vocabulary, they're getting to create and do things. STEM-based learning allows every single student to reach their individual level. So it is perfect for differentiation because everyone could exceed to whatever level they're at. Everyone can feel successful. It's not that testing, quizzing type method, it's production, it's project-based learning, it's real-world application. So we are so very excited. And we can also bring in history. We did that with our Liddy programs in the summer using these 2 models. We brought in mostly Black inventors. So they're reading about Black inventors and engineers, and Dayton is a wonderful area to learn about all the different aspects that come out of Dayton, all those inventors, all those amazing engineers, all those amazing people. So it's a really simple way to incorporate reading, writing, science, math, of course, because math always goes with science, as well as bringing in other aspects and some history that they can learn about their town, about their city.
I'd just like to add briefly that we spent a lot of time on elementary. Board Member Reiner asked me about what was going to be different. There's going to be an intense focus on the middle schools this year. We have an extraordinary amount of human capital resources there to support one of our most fragile populations, the middle schoolers. And I want to say to the teachers, the DEA teachers, they're going to be excited to use their full skill set or repertoire teaching skills and not confined to just 2 subjects.
And we do have some plans in the work for middle school, if you'd like to hear any of that as well.
Seems like you really want to say it. Go ahead.
I get very excited about changes, about things we're implementing, about STEM, about that education. So we have, first of all, we're going to be offering some pre-algebra classes live to all middle schoolers, taught by one of our math specialists and data specialists. So that will be live pre-algebra for 7th grade, 1 class that's taught so students can tune in from all of the different schools. Also a pre-algebra 8th grade live class for those students. Also a filmed algebra 1 class, so that can be utilized in every building however they'd like to, because we know algebra is crucial. They have to get those aspects, that knowledge, to be able to move on to higher level math. So we're bringing that in. We're also coordinating with some other areas and businesses to bring some STEM competitions into the middle school and high school, real world STEM competitions. So we want to bring that STEM and that excitement into middle schools and high schools as well. I was a middle school teacher, love that age, love those ages in kids. And they really need something hands-on to move around and do. So we want to, we're going to bring that back and incorporate that as well.
Are they still going to have the pathways?
Yes.
If I may, I'm still stuck on the statement that we did not teach science in grades 1, 2, and 3 last year because we had a science fair, a district-wide science fair with grades 1, 2, and 3. How could we have not taught science if we had a district-wide science fair?
That was one project that they did implement for the science fair, but as far as daily instruction in science and history, it was not part of the curriculum. It was not part of the daily schedule. It is shocking and a little upsetting, but it wasn't part of.
But you
of their
can't say we
daily.
didn't teach science if we had a science fair and there was a science fair program that happened. That means that we taught science in grades 1, 2, and 3.
To an extent, I would say it was limited,
So-
but there was something.
Okay,
wouldn't
but there's
call
a
that
bit,
teaching
excuse me,
necessarily.
excuse me. There's a very, this is the district that I have sent all of my children to. And to hear the statement that we did not teach science in grades 1, 2, and 3 last year, and then say, but wait, we had a science fair, and then for you to say, to an extent, we taught it. There's a huge gap between there. And I trust this district to educate my children, and I have for the last 15 years. So you need to be very careful. I am requesting that we get a look. Again, we approve the curriculum every single year. I would like to see at the next either review or business meeting the curriculum that we had last year. Look at it again. Let's look at the curriculum we have this year. You can't say that we did not teach science if I just said we had a science fair and you said we taught it to a degree.
I'd like to step in and say that the science fair is an activity. They put together an activity and presented something. Teaching is something that you do every single day. And we said science and social studies. You teach those every single day. It's not a special day, a special event.
But
they
then
didn't have music every day. It was once a week.
I
We taught music.
want us to be very careful about what we're saying that happens in these classrooms and then not backtrack the comments and the statements that we make.
I do
Board
understand, I
Macy
do
content.
apologize. I will restate that. We did not formally teach on a daily basis science or social studies. There were activities, there was the science fair, which can be an important process to think about that, to create it, to present it. That's definitely an important aspect. It just wasn't taught on a daily basis.
Board Member Sampson looked like he was trying to jump in.
No, I was just going to say that science, I think the conversation is science and social studies was integrated into math and reading. It was not something, I think the point is, it was not taught separately because I think the curriculum was called My View. So science and social studies were not taught separately. It was integrated with two more subjects. I think that is the conversation or the point that is being driven, that they were not engaged in those two subjects extensively. It was integrated in two more other subjects. I think that's the point.
Thank you, Board Member Sampson. And that is actually a complete, that's very enlightening to me. I don't have a child in first, second, third grade anymore, so I couldn't speak to that. I appreciate that. So that's a completely different answer. We are teaching science and social studies integrated with math and language arts. We just need to be very careful about the way we talk about this. We have people who are watching this meeting right now thinking less about this school district that we all believe deeply can educate children. All of us have sent our children to this school district that when we send our kids to school. We believe in this district. So to say something that we don't teach science and social studies in grades 1, 2, and 3, and then say, well, we taught it. It was integrated with math and with language arts. What are we saying to the public about the way that we educate and understand what we're doing here? How are we being transparent? How are we presenting the work that we all believe in? We all put our human capital in this district. I'm sorry. I feel very strongly that we need to make sure we're talking very carefully about what we're teaching our children and not misleading board members about what we're doing when we make decisions that will be differently this next year. I understand wanting to do something different. I'm not opposed to change, but don't tell me that we're not teaching something and then we say in another breath, oh, we're teaching it, it's integrated with math and language arts. That's not appropriate.
Did anybody else want to say anything?
I'm finished.
Go ahead.
kind of a request. I know that each building has their own autonomy, as they should, to do their reading selections and, kind of spread that shared reading experience throughout the community, because those create great conversations, with students. But I wonder if we could do more of that across the district, whereby, reading that is selected is, it could be a space where conversations as a board member, if there's specific readings that are being read with students and stuff, it's a nice way to engage conversations on different levels with students and teachers and everybody, and really to maybe build on the learning experience a little differently. I mean, book clubs, oftentimes sit around and talk about it because we have these experiences, and whether or not we're reading about them or we're actually experiencing them in real life and physical, we all have that experience through our lens and our experience, and that is vastly different. So I think having those conversations really give more learning for people to understand how we all approach things differently, how we hear things differently, even about this math or the discussion we're having now. So I would just like to see us do more broader learning around having conversation about the work that we're doing, and reading is a perfect place to start. So thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for all your information tonight. While I'm here real quickly too, I'd like to recognize, I know I'm looking at a few tired faces in the audience. I say that with all love in my heart. Our HR person and Miss Lee, I know you guys have been working really hard, all of you. So it's a big year. We got a lot going on. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Jump on in. This is a jump in type conversation. You have to raise your hand.
Nah.
Hop on the mic when there's a pause.
Nah, I try to follow the decorum. Right now, knowing that, and I know with a lot of these things, we put a lot of focus on making sure we had this model through up to third grade. And then also we saw the sacrifice on the back end. When we look at some of our schools that had entire grades almost that didn't have certified teachers, and we're looking at long-term setups. I know that was one of the conversations you had, Superintendent Lawrence. Where are you with that in the conversation with DEA and some of those positions being filled with certified teachers?
DEA has worked closely with Chief Spurlock and Chief Maney and myself, and the position or conversation goes like this. Let's start with certified teachers in every classroom, but not disrupt spaces where there are already 2 certified teachers. And so our goal right now is to get certified teachers in each classroom, all classrooms. And I think, and I could be wrong, Chief Manning, we have about 75 openings right now in the district? Yeah, so that's directionally correct. So about 75. So the goal.
Down from where you were before, correct?
Oh yes, yeah, oh definitely.
So how many, or this is for either one of you guys, how many spaces were filled by doing this initiative?
Can you come to the mic? You know I can't hear you from back there.
You can.
No, the mic, it doesn't record if she's all the way back there. It does not.
You sure?
Absolutely.
My mother might agree with you.
I doesn't.
We do have 61 DEA vacancies. At this time, it's 156 vacancies for all district, all positions, anywhere, classified, certified.
Okay. And to follow up with that, where we have teachers, 2 certifieds in those classrooms, do the principals and alongside of working with the teachers have the ability where if the principal says, you know what, I'd rather, instead of having these 2 in a room together, I'd rather have this one do 3rd grade, this one do 4th grade if they have that licensure.
Yes.
Has that happened, and is there a possibility, or do they have the autonomy to do that, right?
Yes, so principals absolutely have the right of placement within licensure.
Right.
By DEA contract, it's supposed to happen by May 1st, and all of our principals we worked with very closely this year to ensure that happened if they wanted to see changes. And then after May 1st, all the way up at any time, it can be switched with the teacher's agreement. So
Right.
sometimes teachers say, yeah, I would be more than happy to switch at this time. So it can happen anytime.
And then
Yeah,
have we seen that happen, knowing that we have some buildings that have a greater issue than others as far as having long-term subs and not having certified teachers in there?
The answer is yes. So, and the scenario is I have 2 third-grade teachers that are certified, and I have my 2 second-grade teachers have long-term subs. Principals have the autonomy to say, hey, if you like, in conjunction with your agreement, would you be the certified teacher and go down and teach second grade? Our goal with the district, we've worked closely with DEA, and President Mahoney's been very amenable to us with our intense focus on trying to get certified teachers in front of all of our students.
Okay.
Yes, I have a couple questions on that one. Shout out to all the long-term subs. As a former one, I was a phenomenal sub, so I just want y'all to know we appreciate you guys.
That wasn't a diss.
I'm just saying, the way y'all talking, it's like, they just chop liver out here.
I started my career as a sub as well.
Out here. Best job you can get with a bachelor's degree. Question is, the training going into our long-term sub, because we do have a good portion of individuals who are phenomenal long-term subs for our district, and they really enjoy being long-term subs. Are they getting training to help them facilitate their classrooms this year? Because some of them can do really good classroom management, but they've never had actual formal training of lesson planning and all those great things. Did we find some time to invest in them this year?
Sure. So all of our long-term subs are invited to our new teacher orientation, which is next week for 2 days. Last I checked, we're at about 250, and we'll probably be upwards of 300 attendees by the time we get everything processed. I have a team upstairs still processing things at this hour. So I'd like to say thank you to the HR team. But yes, they are included in all trainings, whether it's curriculum, professional development, related to classroom management of any kind. Anything that a licensed teacher gets in Dayton Public Schools, long-term subs are included in that as well.
Okay. Is it possible for us, if we already don't have this, to maybe work on some type of mentor program, trying to pair some of our long-term subs with some of our career teachers to really help them? I mean, I hope they really enjoy doing this, if they make that leap to becoming a certified teacher, but just some of those things to try to help them as they develop and find their career here that aren't necessarily the day-to-day, you in the classroom here, that part of it.
Dr. Goodwine, we are currently working with the University of Dayton and Central State to develop cohorts, and we want those long-term subs to stay. In fact, just so you know, they got the $200 for their classrooms too, so we value them as well.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, see, we value it.
Okay, one more. For some of our teachers that may have been moved out of the double teaching model, that didn't end up in the co-teaching model, are they receiving any type of assistance if they have to move a whole classroom to a new classroom?
So we've not had to move any teachers.
Okay.
Our teacher placements, in fact, stayed the same, and I know I spoke of displacements at a board meeting recently in the past. No one was displaced. Due to determining to move to co-teaching, the 2 teachers that were assigned to the classrooms have all stayed put. There's been no staffing changes as far as that goes, and no physical space changes that I'm aware of, unless some individual buildings had some reasons to physically move to a different classroom for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I told you this is.
I was gonna follow up with that. If so, would there be, I would request that if they do, if we can help them with those moves, especially with it being so close to the school year, especially showing the appreciation of them to be flexible with us as we try to move things forward. The other follow-up I had, I know there was a question about finding some of the data that some of these, and I would ask that in looking at that, I think we would be doing a disservice if we don't look at some of the data that falls into some of these things. Like looking at, if you look at some of these schools where you see some of these test scores and not acknowledging the fact that they have veteran teachers. They've had staff that have been together for a longer period of time. You look at a school like Eastmont, that line, that pickup line at Eastmont goes around the corner and down the street. And you look at those attendance numbers as well. So I think looking at all those kind of things and putting that in there, understanding the socioeconomic pieces, and even if that's not something that we can do readily on our own, I think it would behoove us to reach out and find somebody that could kind of triangulate all those things. Because I think all of that does play a role. I think it's really hard to look at data and just say, hey, this group is doing it right, this group is not doing it. And understanding, well, this group might have 15% higher attendance rate. This group might have a different poverty level at this building. This group might have teachers that have all been here 15 years, and this group has teachers that have been here for 2 years and not have that kind of assistance. So I think, and it might take a longer time to do, but I think I would much rather get solid data than quick data. So if that could be done, I think that would be a good thing for us as a district to look at those things, especially when we have equity discussions.
Vice President Smith, I sent a note last week to the board via email around about, it's focused on double teaching versus co-teaching was the title. And I mentioned about midway through having a psychometric profile. And so we are, we're in that space, and you're absolutely right about the complexity of the data and how we make judgments on that. And that data is not just numerical, but it's also qualitative as well.
Thank you. Stacy, you mentioned that the new or the long-term subs were invited to attend the meetings. Is that like invited with a, I mean, I would think that it could be a requirement. I say that with humble, respect, because these are times and I don't know what the process is, but if I'm a new long-term sub in a district, I would like to think that it would be part of my training requirement that I be required to attend some of these sessions. Is that possible?
Yes, so I use the word invited, and I should say it's not just long-term subs that are invited. All new teachers and new DEA members are invited because our new teacher orientation is technically outside of the contractual work calendar, work year, and we do pay them a stipend to attend, a daily rate, just a flat rate for each day. So it's a highly encouraged, our recruitment team highly encourages them, shares with them the valuable information they'll learn at the new teacher orientation, but technically not required because it's prior to the beginning of the school year. It's about a week in advance. But yes, it's very valuable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one question. I jumped up quicker on one. Okay, on the $200 that are going to each teacher, which I'm sure I'm gonna see on the next board docs to approve because that exceeds our amount. How do they, is that a reimbursement? Is it a give them flat cash? How does that work?
It's an open PO.
No, okay, I understand that.
Right.
How do I get $200 if I'm a teacher for school supplies?
The schools have purchase orders.
So they earn it through the school?
Yes, through the school.
Okay.
And also, Sharice and Miss Kidd and Miss Gum are, I believe, working on an Amazon profile where teachers can order through there through a PO as well. So they're working on the details at that point.
Okay, when you guys get the actual details to work
I
it
think
out.
the treasurer and the treasurer's office is highly involved in that processing.
Yeah, it seems like seems a little complicated right now.
You in purchasing?
Yeah, it seems a little
Purchasing
complicated
team
at this
is highly
juncture,
involved.
and we want this to be smooth for them. So, y'all figure
Gotcha.
that out sooner than later. That'd be great because it's all out there on social media. So,
And that's covered by ESSERS. And is co-teaching covered by ESSERS?
Yes.
We didn't.
I mean, that whoever. I mean, I know this treasurer's gone.
Yeah, we didn't change the funding source of where the teachers are paid right now.
So, I mean, does it qualify for ESSERS? Oh, we know that double teaching qualified for ESSERS. Does co-teaching?
It can because it addresses learning
I'm
loss.
getting a head shake from the back of the room.
It can because
I don't want to hear it can. It will be.
So, I think that there's a split. Some of those teaching positions have been moved to Title I source funding, and some are ESSER funding. And the qualifying double teacher positions that are Title I were because they qualified due to being small group intervention under Title I funding. But how that's exactly split and how many positions are title funded and grant funded would come out of our budgeting department.
can you check the language just to make sure we're covered? I don't know who that is. You're standing up here, so I'm saying it to you.
Sure.
But it may not be you.
Yes, certainly it's
And it
not,
ju-
but we know we have people that can
Yeah,
look at.
it was weird to look at somebody
Our
else
state
and
and
make eye
federal people
contact. So,
and
yeah.
our budgeting people, yes, in the treasury, they will know.
Let's just
the budget director can get us that information.
Yes.
Jenny Munch.
confirm and just make sure that we are covered, because I would hate for us to lose money as a district when we could have just checked. All right, is there anything else? All minds clear? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a, don't, y'all say it like y'all ready to go. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, do you got that?
So, who moved that?
Whit Gagne? Board Member Lacy, second.
And Mr. Lacy seconded. You bang your gavel, please.
He said he can't hear.
Couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
And I didn't miss the
Mr. Lacy,
opportunity.
Ms. Whit Gagne seconded. Oh, she made the motion. He seconded. All right, thank you, madams.
Roll call?
I am ready.
You do it.
President Goodwine,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Whit Gagne,
Yes.
Pickett's not here, Ms. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith, yes. 6 yeses.